Today we're looking at Enlighten. So Enlighten is open spatial geoportal. It's been a product in use for many years. What we've done is updated a part of the system. We've updated a part of the map rendering technology, moved it so that we can be more web aware, use open layers, and also then adjusted the user interface a little bit to make it much more intuitive and kind of streamlined and using modern graphics and that sort of thing. Also a huge increase in speed, also the inclusion of base maps. I'll show a fair amount of this, the intuitive show info. And then we've set a new platform for a extended functionality. If you have Enlighten already, the upgrade to this version is from Enlighten 4 to Enlighten 5, and Enlighten 5 was a pretty easy upgrade. You'll pretty much use most everything that you have already will work. A couple of minor changes to account for new functionality. So let's take a look. Key aspects. It's a new core technology. Technical speak, we're moving from Ajax to a viewer to a React viewer on the map, the map technology. And so that's essentially a move from MapGuide open source 3 to open source 4. And that has a huge implication in terms of interactivity, REST services, etc. On that, we've also streamlined the user interface according to a lot of customer input. We've changed the icons to be using Google's material design. We've also set up a philosophy where we want a clean screen. You can see just lightly in the background, floating icons, transparency, but more about data. Being a geoportal, this is not just a web map. We really try and drill down into more, lead the user on an intuitive way into more and more information about the data. And so what used to be the advanced forms is now called show info and showing advanced information. So there's a speed increase both on this website and the internal processes and the data loading. Also a huge speed increase on the vector data and tile sets and tiled vector data as well. We do ship now with base layers. So if you're, we'll include, like you can see this OpenStreetMap right here, the Bing Maps or Google or whatever, and we put limited usage in there, and because I have customers that use a lot of map rendering, will then max out the usage and would need to apply their own APIs. Of course, you can put your own tile sets and backdrop maps as well, and those then would no problem with that. Also, we've extended the integration of the geoscan or georeferenced imagery or plans that are TIFFs or PDFs in Mansis. We've enhanced that inside of Enlighten, and I'll show you a little bit of that. Also, the integration platform now has a whole lot more capabilities relating to REST APIs and integration with that. So there's a whole lot there that we're looking forward to expanding on. But this is release 1 of Enlighten 5, and it's a minor release, really only changing one backend component. The rest is the same. So if you've seen Enlighten before and you've used it, then this is not going to be very new to you. It'll be very easy to pick up where you left off. We've extended and expanded the single sign-on, and I'll show you that all live. So just if we step back a little bit in terms of web viewing technology, as I said, we've gone from Ajax to open layers and React viewer. There's a whole change in design languages. And so this trend of ours is in line with the industry trends. We looked at design language. There's a whole lot of things in there. So material design is one. We stayed with open source with Enlighten so that we can control and have a secure future for any of our customers. And so we actually chose now for one of the changes in frameworks is to use Google's material design. It's an open source design system and produces all of the icons, etc. And you can use Forma to go in and change those, change your icons. We had to add a bunch to support Enlighten, but we are using those now, so they're SVG icons. So if we look at Enlighten 5, I'll just flip to the real thing. I'll walk through it and we can take a look at that. So if I go to the new Enlighten, and this is running across a VPN or for a server in Australia, and we're broadcasting it essentially worldwide. I'm sitting in California, so it's kind of an interesting thing. So here we go. The icons have changed. You'll see there just here. You've also see we've minimized the stuff on the screen, and I'll walk through a bunch of these controls. We'll run through these. You notice the backdrop map. That is OpenStreetMap, and you can see the speed increase there, and it just works beautifully. And you can change that as well. You can see vector data, the same old Enlighten stuff that we can set up your layers to turn on and off and etc. And you can have a tooltip like that. And so you can, zoom right in. As you zoom in, it's going to turn on and off information. And you'll notice the little progress bar along the top. So let's just look in a couple of different things. If I look at the icons, you can see the icons are large. This is the core toolbar on the left. That does not go away. That'll stay there all the time. You can set it to large and small, and the large one has writing on it, but all of them have tooltips on them themselves. And so you can, figure out what's going on. So this top one is green because it's switched on, and that's the Enlighten toolbar here. Any icon that's got a remaining green color for the graphics means that it's currently active. I turned off tooltips because all these parcels have a tooltip and it kind of gets in the way, and you can do that. But tooltips are the same. So if you go over any item, if it's on and you go over any item there, you're going to get a tooltip come back, and that'll be a service, or it's the same stuff. So let's just zoom right in here. And so that dynamic zoom works on rolling the mouse, depending on where your cursor is. And so you can get tooltips on any kind of asset right here at any time. Okay, so there you'll see the water pipe diameter. So tooltips can be advanced. There could be all sorts of dynamics on them. You'll notice this one just has the attributes from the database. If I go over a parcel, like here, and this parcel will give us a tooltip here, which shows the show info there. Now, in Enlighten earlier, we had advanced form, and there was also basic forms. So if you just make a selection, I'll come back to this show info in a minute, but if you just make a selection, which you can do, select tool is active by default. I've selected those parcels. Let's go in. You'll notice there's show info, and the tooltip says show advanced information, and there's basic info. Basic info is what comes with Map Guide as default. And the neat part on this one is they've introduced here a sub-select within the select. In other words, I selected those 4 parcels, but this is the one that's currently active in the list. That's very useful because then you can kind of walk your way through and you can see, oh, I'm on this one within that selected set. You can see here, if there was more features, you would have that here. So basic info, this is kind of what most GIS has got. You can drill down. And what we've done with Enlighten is we've added then why we call it a geoportal is we can connect to multiple data sources and show that within the information. So if I go here, I can clear that selection as well. And let's go in and actually select, I don't know, those, or maybe I'll select some more stuff. And then from there, we can do the show info. Now, once again, I've got a tooltip here. I can hit show info here. In fact, let me do that. Let me clear my selection. And then what we've tried to do with the user is they don't have to learn, hey, you have to click this button to get to the info. By default, if you just move your mouse over it in the tooltip, you can add the show information right there. So that leads the user straight into the data. If they click that, we know that this is the feature highlighted. We zoom to it, and then we go in and load that. So that's essentially the same as having selected something and then clicked the icon and pulled up the form, and then you'll get the information for that parcel. So I'm paying the price of loading things across the continents. And so it'll load that up and show you that information. So a couple of other things have changed on that. You'll notice on the show info dialog, we've added icons. Yeah. So it's selected this one. Here's the drill down. And this is where Enlighten really starts shining because you can get to multiple things, So here's like linking to the water pipes. This accurate, so that would be a link of water usage. You can look at parcel to water services, so relationship of what's the actual water connection, and it's going to do drill down. So these are related tables. You set all of these up in the same way you did before, and they are there now for your use. So that's just simply as you hover over something, you can show info. Let's get a little more complicated than that. Let's say we go in and we highlight this lot. So now I've got a selection set there, and it includes all of the usual stuff. Once again, same as basic info. If I'm on say the parcels within the tree that I've got here, and I click on a different one, it's going to highlight the current one active as a sub-select. So that's very useful because it allows you to kind of pick, now I want this one, not that one. I can see the info. I can walk through and see, differences in attributes, etc., as we do that. And the same thing works for linear features as well. If I pull up the gravity pipes, then it's going to come in here. And any of the linear features, you're going to have then the advanced form for that. And it'll highlight the one there, which you see this red one is highlighted. And if I go and click the next one, it'll go to highlight this one down here. And I guess this one must be the middle one. There it is. So that's very useful. It just gives you that intuitive stuff, and you can drill down and see all of that information. So if you go in and select, I've got one water pipe that runs across the middle here. And this guy then has a whole lot of information associated with it. The other thing we've got on here is we've moved and included context appropriate icons wherever needed. So yes, these turn on, select, and deselect are also on the Enlighten toolbar up here. We've also added previous select and next selection and save selections. And so that's kind of useful. And then we've got also the ability is this dialog can become big. And there's a couple of things we've done with dialogue. So let me show you the way around. Well, actually, I'll do this one while I'm on the form here. This dialogue can, because we're drilling down and we've got lots of different information and we've got the tree and then the list and then all of the details for each individual feature here. What we've done is you can pop this out and detach it. So if you have it on another screen, you can actually detach it. It will go in and pop that separately as a floating window, another window separate from the one where you currently are. So if I, for example, minimize this, normalize this window here, you would see this guy there, and on the other screen, although I'm not going to show it on the other screen because you wouldn't see it, you'll see this window, and you'll see it's a separate window. You see the white space here. So this could go off the screen to be a different one, okay? Then it's going to load up then the same selection set, same functionality, and you can then detach it or put it. But this is really useful because now I get a good clean map, and I can have this guy somewhere else on my other screen, and they still interact and interrelate in the same way as if it was within the context of the app, the web app itself. So, and then you can reattach it anytime by just putting that in there, and then you'll see it's now put back into the context of the actual application, and off we go. So let's talk a little bit about dialogues on the system and the user interface just in general. You'll notice I had the big icons. If you're an Enlighten user, one question you may ask is, where is the task pane, the Enlighten task pane? So we've put that, this toolbar down the side here is permanently there. We've put that on its own icon further down because we don't need the user to get to that anymore. They can turn on the icons, they can show info, they can load layers. I'll come back to that. They can add their own layers, but the task pane is down here, right by red line and help and log out. So the task pane is the same as what it was. We've added these icons. So remove those from the regular just top toolbar because we've added a few extra functions in there. And you can then still go to that and you can refresh this guy as well. And so in here, there's the user options, which is the same thing that you had before. We've added just one little function there, and that is to save the location and scale on logout, but also save your toolbar pane state on logout. In other words, what panels did you have open? Save those so when you come back, we actually restore those panels back to where you had, because you're going to play with these panels to show whether you want details of drill down information or whether you want a clean map. The other thing we've done is there is also a show hide icon here. So I can just toggle that guy. And what it's going to do is, we can turn that off. It's cleared the map completely down to the minimal icon here. Whereas if I toggle it back on, it's going to come in here and have that. Yeah, I'm not entirely sure what this guy is. Maybe we can take a look what it is. Oh, I see. There's a setting that's not defined. That's fine. No problem there. So nice way to toggle things on and off, clear your map, get back to where you were. Really useful. The other thing that you can do is when you go to the user options here, I should have done that, sorry, while I was there. Let's go back to it. There is this option here for large icons. So you can turn those off if you screen setup. We've got the larger icons for folks with big screens, but this is now, you'll see the small icons, and so I'll use that for now. So you see they're small, they just take much less real estate. Also then we have the Enlighten toolbar, that's this one. So this is all your basic zoom selects, prints and plots and that sort of thing. So we've also put quick plot and end plot. We've put those here. Search is this guy. And so you've got the tooltips there. Bookmarks is the same. And then all of these zoom thing. We've also added the zoom to all selected entities as a function. The other thing you will note, let me close this panel, is we do have the inset preview over here as to where you've zoomed, and that actually has its own little caret icon. You can turn that on and off, like that's where we are right there. And so you can toggle that guy. As I showed you before, you can turn off the tooltip so that you don't have stuff popping up all over your map for you. There's still the reload. That'll take you to all the defaults, back to the default settings for that. So in addition to that, I'll come back to the advanced tools in a minute. So I've done your showed info, I've done basic info. The layers is basically the same, slightly different icons, functions the same, shows you your legends. You can toggle stuff on and off. You can set things to be selectable or not. That's all much the same. You can also do a search within the legend. So say, for example, you had various kind of nodes or whatever. You can put in nodes there and it'll highlight ones that have it there. Or if I put in, say, like there's nodes or pipe, and it just highlights and searches those so you can put it in. So if I just wanted pipes, I could do that search. And so now it's got anything that has a reference to a pipe, you'll get that category there. Just a simple, quick thing. And these are all collapsible, the usual story there, like this that we've had before. In addition to layers, you can also change the backdrop. So if I go in here, I can go to OpenStreetMap, or I can show, say, the Bing aerials. And so you're getting the high performance of X, Y, Z tiles and backdrop maps. So that's kind of what we've done. And we include this, well, you get limited use, but it's pretty generous and will cover most customers' usage. You can also show, say, the Esri stuff. So that's the Esri world image. And then there's Mapbox as well, so satellite and streets. We are using open layers in here, so no problem showing, say, the Mapbox streets. So you'll see that looks slightly different. But once again, you get that performance. So just a rendition looks similar to that. So Mapbox satellite as well. You can also add your own. You can go to any WMS or WFS and add it in here. If you have your own URL, you can say, put that in here, and it'll pop it up as a backdrop as a layer as well. You can also go in and add your own layer as a file-based. And so if you go here and browse, we're going to look here for GeoJSON or KML, and you can actually upload that locally in this session just for yourself and for your own use. But it is session specific, so you log out. It's not going to save it. It's just loading that file, just a sort of a quick view. Being a web-based app, that's sort of a go-between between web is what's set up and configured for you versus what you can load on your own. So I've walked through those. Let's go through. So on the task pane, a couple of things there. These icons are here. Everything is as before, and we've added in the new functions have the same controls. The icons you see are dependent on what you as a user have available as being allowed to use. So if you don't have Redline, then the Redline icon will not be available for you. If you do have Redline, it'll be there. If you don't have like Redline notifications set up, then as a user, then you're not going to see that icon. Same as this performance or even the admin icon. So those are there. Moving down, so Redlines is there. We're going to be reworking a whole lot of the Redline stuff, but this is the same information. We've improved it a little bit, but we are going to be looking at adding groups or jobs inside of Redline so that you're going to have multiple lines or points of text. You can group that into a group and then the manage framework for that. So there's stuff there that we are working on as well. Once again, the task pane, you can always go back and hit it to go to its base. Online help, we've put previously in Enlighten, you had the user guides here like these, would just link to a PDF. We've moved all of that into the online help, and we stuck it right on the toolbar because we don't want users to have to go and know that you will need to open the task pane to find help. It should be available. So it's right here. If you just click that, this is going to show Enlighten 4 as opposed to Enlighten 5 that we're looking at right now. Enlighten 5 is in preview at the moment. We've been working on this for more, it's been functional with us for over a year, pretty rigorous QA cycle. and we're very close to releasing it. So that's why we figured we're about ready to have a webinar on that. So that runs through all of those except for the advanced toolbar. So let's just set the backdrop layer to, I'll just do OpenStreetMap, or you can have none, that's fine. They're there. All right. And also then the other functions are put under advanced tools. So we've added this icon, and you'll see it down at the bottom. You can pick up any of these guys, move them around if you've got space. You can put it up there. You can minimize them even like that. So you can, make this guy small. You can play games with it. What we've done is split, and typically this comes out by default down at the bottom here. We've split the advanced functions for more advanced sort of drill down and analytics. We've split those over here and kept the basic ones up top here for this. So that really we think most people with these two icon toolbars can do pretty much everything. It should be an 80 to 90%. So if you wanted to do like network trace, you could go down here. If you want to do shut-off reports or layer filters, here's one where we can theme a layer. So you can take something and theme that out, add a color. So you could say, oh, show me just for my view only right here. I can create a temporary layer theme that would say, for example, show me pipes by diameter and color them different colors based on a value in a column like diameter, for example, or parcels by size or whatever, and theme those. You can also do, so this guy is here, the theming task pane loads up essentially an app within the framework. Takes a little time to load because it's reading all the features, and actually we have quite a lot of features here. We've got all of the utilities. This is our sample data set, and we have basically every utility there, everything from fiber through the wet utilities down to cadastral and buildings and everything else in there. So that'll load up, and then you get to choose, like I said, a whole lot of features here. You can go theme on any of these and then look at what the column is, give it a name, set the min max, what's kind of distribution, is it individual, equal, or whatever, and then set the colors and transparency and the zoom scale, and off you go. And apply that as a layer. It'll appear then as a separate layer in the layers dialog. The SQL filter is also really useful. So this allows you to do, show me only, say, you can put in a filter. So you can filter on a property. So if we said for buildings, greater than a certain amount, you can actually go in and get that. Let's see. Actually, I need to know what that data is. So let's actually go in on a parcel maybe, or let's turn on the buildings. Yeah, I'll do the parcel. And then if the show info, which you can do off the icon, let's go in and see that's a small parcel. We want to be, let's see, 1,000. So maybe, yeah, 2,000 was probably good. So show me all parcels that are, only show parcels that are 2,000. So I can go in and filter here and say, let's want parcels. Let's try get P for parcels. And we want the geom area greater than, and we'll just pick 2000. And you can actually digitize within a region or a polygon or whatever. And you do need the resultant output. So here we go. We've got all of these, a whole lot of them. Let's actually say we want to be within a polygon, and you can basically go in and draw where you want. So let's say I want to get parcels larger than 2000. You can change that funny black color because it's kind of there. And then I just double click and it'll pop in that parcel there, that polygon, and I can go back and run and execute there. So now I get a different subset of those parcels, and we can actually go in and track that. So you'll notice then it'll have done that subset, and then we can select those and do all of the things that we do driven by selections. The other ones, there's the usual ones these were all on the right mouse button in previous Enlighten. Select within a radius, select within a polygon, select within, and this would be just similar to what I just did. You digitize a boundary. Here you can do, within a buffer. Here's one that's kind of interesting. Before I run it, let me zoom in a little bit. Yeah, so this one is a drill down selection. So literally if you took a pin and you put it on the map, and you can set the tolerance of to how large to search, but it will search through the map for all current features turned on at that point. So let's try it. We'll do that. It says just pick a point, so we'll go right here and pop that here. And it's going to do a little search within that area and go and pick up, and I didn't zoom in far enough, but it'll pick up any and all feature types within a distance of that specific location. So we'll do it again here, and we'll stick it right here. All right, and so now it will go in and do that search. So it's got a parcel, a water node, a water pipe, and it's drilled down within a given distance. And so you can do all of that stuff. There's also nearest neighbors and spatial functions. So it's the same functions that we had before. Let's say, let's just clear the selection and we'll just select this one parcel here. And let's say just this parcel here, and I'll zoom out so we can see what we're doing. And so you can do a spatial function on that, and it's going to come up and offer you the various things. So you can do parcels, anything touching or any interaction or outside or inside or whatever, and you can do spatial. And we're using the backend spatial database functions for that. Spatial summary is a different thing. Same function that was there before in Enlighten, but the spatial summary is going to look at, you've got 5 polygons selected, the total area, perimeters, number of lines, etc. It just gives you a summary of what your selection set is. So that previous one where I ran that SQL filter, I could have come and done a spatial summary and it would have given me the total nub count of larger than within that polygon. So there's that sort of stuff. And capture is these functions here. So you can turn on the dialog, you can add register artifacts or maintain artifacts. So in essence, that's pretty much most of the functionality. There is one that I kind of like. If you go in and let's clear the selection, and I'll just do one last thing here, turn off fiber. Maybe we just want sewer and the base map on as layers that are on. Yep, that looks like we got base map parcels here, maybe buildings, and I'll show you geoscan and then we'll be done. So sewer is a function, those data sets there, and they have these, you can see these legend entries. So one of the things you can do is we've got a quick plot and end plot. End plot is the full configurable plotting, high resolution plotting from us. So it's part of the Enlighten suite. And you can configure and set up in AutoCAD and then actually plot, full size high res from there, and you can script them and name them so that you got templates, etc. Quick plot is this one, was available previously on the right mouse button. And so here we can go in and I'll just put in a quick thing and then just say this is the subtitle. And you can choose your paper sizes. So say you want a A3 and you want that landscape and you want to show the legend, the north arrow, and you can put in a custom disclaimer that basically says these are, whatever you want in terms of features shown on this map, or when they're not for legal purposes or whatever it is. We do not plot commercial backdrop map layers. You do need to have a different API set up for that. So generate this quick plot. Pops up in a new window, gives you a file that you can then save and download as a PDF. And so here's the legend that we saw. So you've got all of the legend info. So that's kind of neat. And it's put in the north arrow, the X, min, Y, and there's the scale and all of those. So just a quick way, very easy for somebody to create a quick output from their map. Okay, so that was it. One last thing to show you, and so for that I will go to a different Enlighten map and we'll just look at a few other items on there. So here I'll just load up another setup here. So this is an Enlighten US customer. We're still running on a machine on a server in Australia at the moment, and we're just previewing that. They currently have Enlighten 4 as well. So this fires up, same thing. You see the base map loads up, and so in here they've got, I don't know, there's 40,000 or 60,000 parcels from this lot, and the main old cities here. But what I want to show you is geoscans. And in fact, I'm just going to pop back to my PowerPoint here. So I've shown you some of the Enlighten. The highlights there: single sign-on, simple startup, large or small icons, toolbar, basic versus advanced options, dragging, tooltips, transparency. Everything's transparent. You can toggle that under your user settings so those dialogues can have less or more transparency. What I'm moving on to now is just the last little piece is geoscans. And this is part of when people have a lot of plans, they may be PDFs or TIFFs. If you scan them, they could be multi-page or single page, but in essence, they're documents and they have spatial data on them. Like this page has a section, sorry, a plan view here for the streets going from there to there, and it has stuff on it, linear features. So what we want to do is see that in situ in Enlighten. So what we literally can do is see that page referenced and padded so that you can do that. And now normally there's a bit in between from there to there. And for that we use Munces. So in Munces, you can take that page and that actual list in Munces and take, say, this page, insert it. So this is functionality that's been in Munces for a while. What we've done here is join that up with the Enlighten functionality. So in Munces, you can go in, insert an image, TIFF PDF. You can set the settings. You can georeference it. This literally allows you to show 2 points on this image, 2 points on the map, and it will scale and rotate and align that thing. And you can do that over and over until you get it to match nicely. At that point, you do create what we call a geoscan boundary. We just invented the word geoscan because these are typically scanned images. And that boundary is just a vector polygon that carries metadata about, well, this is the image name, this is the insert point, this is the rotate, this is the scale. And so we can then use that information in Enlighten because that little box feature has everything it needs to show the related image. And so in Munces, then obviously, once you've set that up, you can load up the little boxes and then toggle on and off the image that goes with it. And you can show it as a hyperlink. Well, what we've done with that is pull that into Enlighten. So yeah, in Munces, you can zoom in and do heads up digitizing here. And this is really what's kind of useful. There's a couple of reasons it's useful. One is these plans always have way more than the single discipline that you might be busy with. So let's look at that then in Enlighten. So what we do in Enlighten is you take a plan like this one. You can see this has got water and sewer on it. And you're going to put that plan in Munces. You're going to locate it. So here's the same polygons with the metadata that contain all the information about them regarding what file it is, where it is, etc. So, and there's lots of them, and you can highlight them. So in this particular instance, actually, I'll show it to you live. So we can go and look at this live. But you can go in, turn on your things. All of these assets were captured heads up digitized. And then you can toggle that thing on and off so that you can actually see that in situ. So in situ, you can see that, and you can select these polygons, just a vector, but it has attributes, including the image, so you can preview it. Let's go and look at that in real life. So what I'll do here is just play with let's turn off the parcels. They kind of make a noise. Let's move the map to like here somewhere and go in and turn on the geoscan boundary. So it's just a vector here. And what I've done is turn on itty bitty little ones. See the little and we've actually put them by size of the plan. Now, yeah, I know the project is not a square page like this is shown. But if as I turn it on, you start seeing here's the larger ones, and you can see these are typically capital improvements that have like gone down the line or down the road, and they've made the changes. And so we've literally built out this entire city asset inventory from these plans. So if I turn on the next one, it kind of maxes out the map. So you'll see here, there are literally thousands of these. When I turn that on, some boxes are super large, like there'll be a plan out here that covers that whole big area, or down here, this covers most of the city. So that typically will be an older plan there. And then as you go and click on them, you can drill down. Now, the problem with this is that this is a haystack. And how do I find something? So let me just turn this off and also just show why this is useful. So if, for example, I wanted to know what plans do we have active, I'll just deselect that guy. Say this street intersection here, like there, you can just go in and drag a select box when you have those on, and it's going to highlight all the ones that you've got. But now you've got a set of plans. So once again, you can just use that show info and drill down, but use that select or sub-select within the selection. So this is where it becomes quite useful, because now I've got a set here of 4 different plans, and I can look at the details of those and see they're all got water on them. I could have whatever you've put in your database. You could put descriptions. Normally we put the utility, There should be a description and as well. That's typically what I advise. But the neat part is you can step through these if it has a date and whatever. And actually what we've also done is then put a preview over here. And this, you can then say, well, I can't see that. Let me show it in full window. So here I can see it, the actual original. So that's just a hyperlink to the PDF file. No problem there. But it's very useful because I can easily just put that up. We've also, I'll close that one. And let's go in and say we want to link the windows. And what you can do then is keep that open because you're going to need to work your way through these four plans to find the one you want. So this is just a window. And what I'll do is pop it. I'm going to actually go and normalize this again here. So here's that preview window, right? It's a separate window. It's actually on my other screen, but I'll let it straddle and go through there. And then as I move from one of these to the next, it's linked like that there, which is kind of what we've extended. So now it'll open this, it'll pop the preview and it'll refresh it. So now I'm looking at this drawing. And so I can see, oh, this is the one for that little intersection. And it's this one over here. That's very useful. So that's kind of where we're at with that. And I think it's a very useful way of drilling down. So there's one last part to this. So say I want that one there. And I go in and I just select, say, I'll just pick one, maybe this one there. And once I've selected one, I can go in and load the geoscan. So this is in Enlighten. We want to, I don't have all of them loaded here. If I can't, we have most of them loaded. This is, as I said, a preview of new Enlighten on our machine as opposed to customer's machine. So we didn't pull over all the images. There's a lot of them. But let's go in and try this one here. And if that doesn't work, yeah, it finds it. So it just has to find the image. So now we can see that as backdrop. Now what we've done when we did that geoscan for Enlighten, we added the capability of automatically taking the padding, the location and rotation and scale of the TIFF, and basically re-rendering it in its scaled, angled state. And so this is a scaled version of the original. So you do lose resolution, but you can then show it on the map as a backdrop, which is really useful because now I can go in here and view this thing. And so if I turn on the water and sewer, you should see then, and I just deselect it, you will see that as it comes up, you'll now get this intricacies, kind of what we were doing with the full image in AutoCAD. These are fairly heavy TIFFs, but now you see all of this stuff, and that's how we captured their data. And now it's viewable. So what we've done is we've literally brought the entire set of plans for an organization into somebody's, at their tooltips, and they really don't have to be GIS savvy or not. So that's the geoscans. It's pretty neat. Not necessarily fit for everybody, but you'll see like there's the railway and there's the roads and off you go. And what it does when you turn that on is it just adds a layer. You can see it down here, the geoscan image. So I can turn that on and off as well. If I just turn it off, then off we go. And then it'll forget that the next session, you won't go back there. So that's pretty much it. Everything else is much the same. You've got a layer profiles here. So these guys have got water and sewer or both. You've got the measure tool. So you can set in a line string and you can then, go in and start that, or you can measure an area. So you'll see it actually gives you a feedback as you draw, and then you double click to finish. So now I've got that in there. You can see this segment 1, and off we go with the measuring. Okay, so you can clear and start again, etc. So there's that. All right, I think I'm nearly done. Let's go back to PowerPoint and finish up this. So you've seen this already. Network trace, so you've done the geoscan, you've seen all of that. If you have Enlighten already, you may want to say, well, what does it take to move to the new version? Very little, actually. All of the setup was, predefined in Enlighten, is saved in a database. So pretty much we use your existing map layer, colors and setup. We use the database connections are the same. We've added a couple of functionalities like saved selections and previous and next. And so all of that works. It does use a new layout type, but that's just between Ajax and React. It's literally just a save and setup. It's just a bucket, pretty much. So you just change that. We've pushed so that you've got the same plus more functionality. And in terms of a deployment, it's pretty easy to deploy, and it's not a huge impact. The online help is available now, whereas before it was one big fat PDF. Putting it online allows us to update it more regularly and easily, but it also allows people to search the document and all of that stuff a little easier, and then we can group it and put, just extend it out onto a modern thing. So will it cost more? No. If you have an existing subscription, then this is part of your subscription and you get that. The base map layers that we provide in the box with the product, well, that is just, we just said of all we're trying to do is make sure there's no super overuse going on at any given place. But we've looked at the usage, and we haven't really, we'll see how that goes, but we're trying to, cover a really a good, healthy use for everybody so that they can get to use the base maps without a cost. But if there is, then we would actually set a warning and bounce it back to the organization and say, hey, those are either going to not display, or you can go in and add your own, or you can pay us or not. But you're more than welcome to have your own. So if you had your own Google account and you were paying for Google base drop maps or here images or near map or whatever, you could include those. Okay. And then obviously that would be at your own cost. So we're just putting in a good starter set. I didn't SSO, yeah, we've built that out. So the single sign-on really is much more comprehensive. It supports more stuff, and you can build that out. You saw me logging in and out. We're opening 3 or 4 Enlightens without having an actual login typed in. So it's very useful. Okay. Thank you very much for that, attending the session. This is really the first release of Enlighten 5 on a new mapping and presentation platform. And so that's kind of the start point. We're really excited with the API, the REST services, and everything else that this enables. So that's going to make a bigger difference as we move forward with adding extended functionality. You can now integrate and show maps from any GIS within Enlighten, and Enlighten can also produce those imagery to be used in other GIS. So that sort of integration on that level, as well as APIs for actual app to app or database to database or to web services integration. So things like asset management or SCADA or IoT or any of those are now fully available within the platform. So we're very excited by that. So this is release 5.1. There will be other releases coming up that then use those capabilities to extend out the functionality. So this is the core basis for that. So thank you very much. Feel free to send anything to info@openspatial.com if you do have questions, and we'll take it from there. So that's it. Thank you very much.